Hello and welcome to my lesson on Introduction to Integration. So in the beginning of all my lessons, I do have a revisiting to learning exercise, which I'll ask the student to do in the first 3 to 4 minutes of our lesson. We'll review the answer together and go over it if they've made a mistake in order to identify the mistake. Most of the revisiting to learning is in most cases linked to the topic of the lesson, and in this case, derivation is linked to integration. Now, integration. So I have 2 steps here, the rule to remember when integrating. Add +1 to the power, divide by the new power. So how does this actually work in practice? So let's look at the first question. We have 6x squared plus 2x dx. Now what does dx actually mean? Dx shows us that we have to integrate the given equation with respect to x. This might be, well, depends on the coefficient. So this might be written in a different form. For example, 6y squared plus 2y dy. So that's what dx means. Now we've got our integration symbol, which looks like a seahorse or an F without a line, as my brother always says. So we have 6x squared plus 2x. Now let's utilize these two steps in order to solve the equation. So we have 6x squared plus 2x. We add 1 to the power, which is 2 plus 1. That's 6x to the power of 3. Divide by the new power being 3. Plus 2x to the power of 1. Remember, anything to the power of 1 is just that. 2x to the power of 1, 2, so add 1, that'd be 2x squared, divide by 2, which is a new power that we just got, plus c. If I have time at the end of the lesson, I will go over a question as to how we find plus c, when we have to find plus c. Usually, well, in most cases, the question will explicitly ask you to find c, and they will give you additional information for you to find c. But for now, we don't have to actually worry about it. But you do and must have to write plus c at the end of your equation in order to receive full marks. You will lose a mark if you don't write plus c, so it's very, very important that you write plus c. So for the second question, we will, as I've written at the top right corner here, we've got our general formula. All of this is our rules of indices. We must utilize this in order to solve the second and third question. So we have here, which is 2 over x to the power of 3, which is the tricky part of the question. That's where we have to use our rules of indices in order to simplify this expression so we can integrate it. So we have here 2 over x to the power of 3. Let's look at our first formula here. 1 over x to the power of n equals x to the power of minus n being an integer, any given number. For in this case, it's 3. Now let's use this formula in order to simplify this expression. 1 multiplied by x to the power of 3, 1 over x to the power of 3, and that would be 2, looking at our formula, x to the power of minus 3. Utilize this formula here in order to simplify this expression. Now that we've simplified the expression, we can integrate the equation as a whole. So we have here 4x to the power of 2 plus 1, which is 3, divide by the new power, which is 3, plus 7x, 1 plus 1, which is 2, divide by 2. Now, just move this. Now we have to integrate this expression right here. minus 3 plus 1, which is minus 2, divided by 2, which will give us a negative number. So that'd be minus 1. So we have to write a minus here. So we have 2 divided by minus 2. So I'm not going to write minus 2 because we've already written a minus sign here. X to the power of minus 2, which is minus 3 plus 1. Now we must simplify this. So minus 2 over 2 is minus 1. X to the power of minus 2 is 1 over x squared. Using the formula that we have up here, we will simplify this expression here. So that would be 4x to the power of 3 plus 7 over 2. How do I fit this in? Squared. Minus 1 over x squared. And don't forget the plus c. I'm just going to write the plus c here because I don't have room. Right. Now that we've solved that, we can move on to the third question. I will at this point ask the student if they got any questions or if they, didn't understand something as we were solving the equation. Although I will ask, they can just interrupt because it's a one-to-one session usually. They can just interrupt me whenever they like in order to ask a question. Right, for the third question, we also have to utilize one of our rules of indices. So the one that we'll have to utilize is the second one that we have right here. Why do we have to utilize that? Because we've got 5 root x. Now, how do you write this in a simpler form? We have our equation here. I essentially have the answer written down here, which is an example that I wrote down in order to have they have real life examples. By real life, I mean like ones that are you actually using a number rather than the formula itself. So we have, in order to sort of simplify 5 square root of x, we're going to use this formula here. So that would give us, and if you don't have a number here, for example, we have 4 here, which would give us x to the power of 1 over 4. If you don't have a number there, where n usually is, then that means that the value there is 2, as we have right here. So that would be x to the power of a half. Now using this, we'll solve the equation, because this is a much simpler form than this. So 2x plus 1 to the power, which is 3, divided by the new power, which is 3. Let me just move this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll move this. Oops. Okay, let's just continue. Plus 1 to the power, which is 3 over 2, and divide that by 5. You can use your calculator if you're struggling to do this mentally, and because we are allowed to have a calculator in our A-level maths exam, so that would give us 10 over 3 x to the power of 3 over 2 plus 1 to the power here, which would be minus 2, so that would be 4 divided by minus 2 and x to the power of minus 2 plus c. I'm running out of time, so we won't have the time to simplify this, but I would usually simplify this for the student. And after that, we do have I do give the student a couple of practice questions to do on their own in order to consolidate our learning, to consolidate our knowledge on the topic, and we'll review the answers. Again, depending on whether they get it right or wrong, we will go over it together and try to identify the mistake that the student made. Yeah, thank you.